Mario Garcia Romo, welcome back to the Running Effect podcast. Third time's the charm. How you doing? I would say evening. It's night in Spain, 10 p.m., late hours. How you doing, man?
Yeah, late hours in Barcelona. Well, just a town outside of Barcelona. And yeah, I was gonna get ready to go to bed, but obviously, like it's always a pleasure talking to you. And it's been a year since the last podcast, so yeah, third time. So I'm very honored. Like I think, like you always like want to talk to me, and I think that's a good idea, a good thing. And I think I always have a great time talking to you. So yeah, hopefully we have a good one, and I can share some ideas. Yeah.
Heck yeah. Okay, first question for you. We were talking a little bit before we hit the record button about how just culturally Spain is different. You guys eat dinner a little later. You said 9 p.m. What's that like, changing cultures from being based in the U.S., going back home, and what was for dinner tonight? Or do you call it dinner in Spain or no? What's the word?
Well, it's called Cena, but yeah, I mean, my body right now doesn't know what it is, to be honest, because I've been in like six different countries in the last 2 weeks, I think. I've been on a holiday, so right now I'm in the high performance center in Barcelona, and like I'm just seeing PTs here. So the dinner was pretty plain, honestly. Like this place is like a residence for athletes, so like it's just like kind of like classic athlete dinner, like pasta or rice, and then some kind of meat or fish, some salad, some fruit, some yogurt. So yeah, pretty plain, but yeah, I have to be here for a couple of days, and then I'll be heading to the US soon. And yeah, just looking forward to that, and just enjoying my last few days in Spain, even though we can live life a little later. But yeah, I mean, I enjoy it, and especially now. Well, now summer has ended, but in summer is really good to just spend time with your family and your friends until the late hours of the night.
I know you are big on the Diamond League circuit. You race quite a bit, and obviously those races are all throughout Europe. And you stay in
Hmm.
hotels, and you generally, eat around, or they'll provide food. What's the best food at a Diamond League this year? What Diamond League won the cake there,
Ooh, I mean, I've only raced one diamond league this year, but
or last year,
so
throughout the years?
so last year maybe. Oof, I have to go back and remember. Maybe Lausanne, I would say. I feel like Lausanne is one of those classy diamond leagues, and yeah, I don't know. That was my first diamond league, so that was a couple of years ago. But yeah, I think that was good quality. I mean, Brussels, I just have a good memory of it because it had good coffee. Like the city has really good coffee, so I think the food was especially good in that meet, maybe. But yeah, I couldn't tell you, to be honest. I think yeah, like Switzerland has treated us pretty well in the past, so I think that one always wins in terms of our organization. Yeah.
What's the go-to coffee order for Mario?
Obviously, cortado. I think that's also one of the most popular coffee orders. I would say I'm one of athletes right now. And yeah, I mean, it has the perfect amount of milk, but also like you can taste the coffee. But now I'm starting to enjoy more like just like the pour overs, and like just kind of like trying to like get the taste of the coffees, and I've been trying to order my coffee like that lately, especially if I go to like a place that is renowned for like having good coffee. Yeah.
How much coffee chat goes on? Obviously, people will be familiar with your teammates in the Coffee Club podcast. I'm sure many of our listeners know that
Yeah.
podcast, listen to it, love it. How much of the team discussion is around coffee? Like, how much do you guys talk about coffee, or go out and get coffee and talk about it?
Well, there is not many social activities that we can do, right? Especially when you're in a meet. So having a coffee, I would say, is like the biggest event of the day, especially the days leading up to the race. Like they always the talk is like, all right, what's the best coffee in the city? And like, let's go have a coffee. Or like, even sometimes before breakfast, like they'll be like, oh, Oli, especially, he's like, oh, let's go have a coffee. And yeah, just like we talk a lot about it. I think like it's a good activity to bond over. And I think like yeah, I mean I that's my favorite part I would say of like traveling with the team, just having that morning coffee before we get going on our day, and just like having like just talking about anything because we generally talk about anything. Like we don't talk about running only, we talk about many other things. And yeah, I miss those times, especially now. I haven't raced as much, but yeah, hopefully I get those back soon and I can enjoy those little moments.
Mario, a year ago, me, along with a lot of other people in November, found out that you were taking a piano. I want the year update.
Yeah.
How is piano
Well,
going?
it's not going well. However, though, I have an update. I have made a bet with Ellie, my girlfriend, and I'm gonna learn Piano Man by December, and I'll perform it live like she wants me to do it like in an open mic thing, and I'm considering it. But I think that it's gonna be more like a private concert at home, maybe, my roommates, my teammates, and her. And hopefully that's my challenge for the fall and for the winter. So especially like, like at the beginning, I'm gonna be very on it, and I'm gonna get on it starting Wednesday when I get back, because I don't want to lose this bet. So and also it's gonna overcome a fear, especially if I perform in front of people. And I can tell you, I cannot sing. That's not one of my gifts. But it'll be fun, and I think it's gonna be a good challenge.
Compare this in running terms. So you have a 3:47 mile PR. What would like the equivalent goal be for running?
Oh, man.
Because I don't know what you can play on the piano at the moment. Like, how audacious is this goal?
Not very much. Like it's gonna be like running a marathon for me. Yeah, like I not like seriously, like I'm starting from scratch pretty much. Like you just gotta think, like I've been outside of my house since I left Boulder in June. So I haven't been close to a piano in like almost 4 months now. So yeah, it's not going well, but I have that bet, and honestly, I'm super motivated to win it, and I think I'm gonna do it. So hopefully, people back me up and they show up for the performance. Yeah.
They say something to the extent of if you want to accomplish a goal or like get over a fear, put it out publicly. So you just put it out there for a couple thousand people who will listen to this. So I have faith in you, Mario, and nice time you're on the podcast. You're gonna know how to play. That's gonna be the intro to the podcast.
Yeah, let's say next time we have a podcast, hopefully I'll be able to play it, and I'll play for you, especially if I'm older. Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
I love
Deal?
it. I love
Yeah.
it. Deal.
Right.
Deal. Outside of piano, any other? So you mentioned, and this is obviously true. Like pianos, you're on the road constantly. Hard to access a piano. Hard to practice.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any hobbies you have picked up on the road that have been easier when you're not running?
Well, not that many, to be honest. I mean, I've been reading as much as I can. That's one of the easiest things for us to do, and especially when you're traveling. But I mean, I've been like quite busy. I mean, racing over summer, as many people know, like takes a lot of time, especially traveling from one place to another. But also, like I was in San Moritz for the whole month of June and July, and cooking took a lot of the time. Especially, we were like my physio Eduardo from Spain, who is a friend from my high school, and he's a physio now, like a certificate physio from Spain, and he came with me and like helped me those couple months until the rest of the team came over, and we were just cooking, watching movies, so things like basic things, trying to recover as much as I could, especially before the Olympics. And then after the Olympics, it's been like kind of like more of a downtime, just trying to spend time with my family, especially after not being with them for so long, like it's been like I left for the US in 2018, so it's been 6 years since I spent more than 2 weeks at home. And wow. This summer I could have spent 3 weeks with them, so that was super nice. And yeah, just visiting friends, visiting family, spending time with my grandparents, with my brother, with my girlfriend. Like just trying to make the most out of it. Yeah.
Talking about music some more, we mentioned you trying to play Piano Man on the piano. What's like Spotify rap this year? If you're on Spotify, what are the top artists for you going to be? Favorite music at the moment?
I would say I became a huge fan of the Chainsmokers, thanks to Morgan. Yeah, the Chainsmokers, Louis the Child, because I saw him in concert about 2 years ago. Just EDM in general. Like I've been a huge fan, and especially like when I'm racing, it's a good style of music. But also I've come more into the Spanish music scene, especially the early 2000s, the late 2000s. Music from Spain. So yeah, I've been kind of reconnecting with that Spanish side, especially since I spent a lot of time at home, and also Kavinsky that performed at the closing ceremony at the Olympics, like the song Nickel or Phoenix, the band also that performed there. Like I didn't really know them before that, and then after that I was like I saw them live, obviously. And I was like, wow, like this is like my style of music. So yeah, I've been listening to them a lot as well. And then like just classic like bands I've been listening to for many years now, Sticky Fingers or just bands like that. Yeah.
Going back 2 years to 2022, come out of college, NCAA champion, and your first race on the global stage at the World Championships in Eugene, you placed fourth in the 1500, and then last conversation we had, we recapped that season. where you raced on a ton of Diamond Leagues. You tore it up. It felt like at every race. I want to say you ran 329 in the 15, 347 in the mile, 449 in the 2K, random distance there, but crushing it there. I placed 6th at the World Championships. My question here, just to get a discussion kicked off, is do you feel like those 2 really successful years back to back, set up such high expectations that have been hard to live up to?
Yeah, I mean, I think expectations have always been high for me. Even before my fourth place awards, like I always had high expectations, But I would say like my expectations coming into this year obviously were like winning gold in Paris. Like I've said that many times, and I don't regret saying it. But at the same time, like I think like that's the way I like to be. I like to be that kind of runner that speaks out like my goals, and yeah, I mean the expectations were high, but yeah, those last 2 years were very promising, obviously. So it was super, like I was very hopeful that this was gonna be a great year. It wasn't the case, but it's still like I think it was a year where I grew a lot as an athlete, as a person. So yeah, I mean the expectations were high. The results just weren't as good as I expected. Yeah.
I want to say you were the person, and correct me if I'm wrong, though. I think our conversation last time, you mentioned that goal of wanting to win gold in Paris, but more so you said something to the extent of you wanted to become the type of person who deserved to win gold. What did that
Exactly.
process look like in training?
Well, to be honest, I would say more than in training, it was just like life all around. Like I think like when I said that, I was imagining, like I was like, okay, like what are my life goals that I want to accomplish this year? And also training, obviously, like I mean, you can be perfect outside of the track, but like if you don't train hard, like you're not gonna win anything, right? So yeah, I mean, when I asked myself that question, I didn't really have a clear answer, but I had an idea. I had an idea of what type of person and what type of athlete I wanted to be. And to be honest, if you ask me that question right now, like if you are asking me, like, are you that type of person that deserves gold? I would say in my mind, I've become that person. I think like I've become like that person in my life, with my family, with my friends, like with everybody that I want to be. And also like the values that I have, I think are the ones I want to have, and I've been cultivating them, and I'm still working on them. And training wise, I also like, I think work very hard, and I think I did all the right things. Obviously, injuries and things like that are not something that we can fully control, and sometimes they just come at you, and you have to deal with them the best you can. But yeah, I mean, I've been on it this year. I think like I've been like really disciplined, and I'm very happy with everything I did, and I don't have any regrets. So I think that's why even after this year, after the expectations I had for this year, I'm super happy with everything, and I could say this has been the best year of my life, just in every single sense. So yeah, if I answer the question of have I become that person, I would say like I become the person I wanted to be, not like the Olympic gold medalist, but the person I wanted to be. So I think the best thing for me. Yeah.
What does that process look like tangibly in terms of figuring out the type of person you want to be? Is that sitting down and journaling? Is that going on a walk and thinking? Like, how do you come up to some of these conclusions? And is that something you'd recommend people do in terms of taking some time, a few days a week, to really think, who do I want to be in life, and what's it going to take to get there?
Yeah, and I'm still working on it, like I still work on like future goals, and like, like I cultivate like the values I want to have. But yeah, for me, especially journaling, meditating, and also I work with a sports psychologist often, as much as I can. And, like just having those conversations with somebody that really is an expert on the matter. And then especially I think something that has been kind of like not considered many of these last years, and I just met a friend that like actually remind me of it. It's like how much time I spend with the people that I love and that matter to me, and like how I connect with my family, and like I think like those social connections are very important, and I've found out that like they give me a lot of happiness, and they give me a lot of fulfillment, so like for me like that makes me like the person I want to be, and like I the way I carry my relationships. So yeah, it's just a lot of like meditation and journaling and kind of self-reflection, I would say, like thinking about like what my priorities are, like what are my values, and especially how I want to like, like portray myself to the world, and like how I want to act, and like how I want to like be a positive influence in everyone around me.
As someone who has reached, one of the top stages in the sport and has teammates who have done the same thing as well, and I'm sure studies the sport religiously at this
Hmm.
point as it is your profession. What do you think it takes to win a gold medal and separate yourself? Because the margins we see every year at these championship races, between first place and fifth is less than a second. What do
Yeah.
you think it takes to be number one on that day?
Oh man, I would say like a lot of training, obviously. But I think like especially like it takes discipline. It takes like believing in yourself and confidence. I think like, I mean, I watched the final from the stands, obviously, as Jared was racing, and I seen Jared all year long. Like he was one of those guys that could win gold and like almost won gold. And like I would say like it takes a lot of like just like believing in yourself. I think that's the most important thing. Like that's what I found out. Like if you don't believe that you can do it, like there's no point on you stepping on the track and like trying to run. You can do it. I mean, but like there's gonna be 11 other guys that probably are gonna think that they can win that gold medal. So like you have to be prepared for that. Yeah, and it just takes like courage to go for it and bravery. Like like when the race went out, like they went through the 454 seconds, and Jacob is already leading and like he's pushing the pace. It takes courage to like go with it when you have never run that pace. And, like I think like those guys, especially the top four guys, like really saw a lot of courage and gave us one of the best races we've seen ever in the 1500 and probably like the best final ever in the Olympics. So yeah, it just you have to be like that kind of person and you have to like go with it and, not fear like failure, not fear like just getting completely dropped and like explode. And yeah, I mean it was a great treat for me to like see Jared win an Olympic medal and like seeing that amazing race. Obviously, it stings a little bit still. Like I want to be part of that race, but yeah, as an spectator of the sport and as a friend of many of those runners, like I think it was an amazing race and it was a pleasure to like see it from the stands.
Someone listening today, I'm sure, struggles with that confidence and belief aspect. What would you say to that person right now who knows belief is what's going to take them to that next level, going to take them to their goals, but they're not quite sure how to start on starting to believe in themselves today?
And that's kind of a hard question because I think it's so subjective. Like it depends on each person. I think like you have to find your way. I think one thing that we've seen lately, there's many training methods and like there's like the double threshold, there is a like kind of more like intensity and high volume training. You have to really find what you like and like stick with it and like just keep doing it. Like surround yourself with like great people, like with a great coach, with great teammates, people that are gonna lift you up. Like and just like try to focus on that routine. I think like routines for me have helped me to like get more confident and like believing more in myself and like especially doing more work, which I think like work always like increases your confidence, right? And and yeah, just focus on those little things and all those routines. And at the end of the day, like when the race happens, at the end when you're laying on the track after the race, and doesn't matter if you obtain the result you wanted. Like if you've done everything you could and you are sure of it, I know you're gonna be happy and you're gonna be like satisfied with your performance. And especially like if you've gone through all that process, like you're gonna learn a lot of things to like take perspective into results. And like you're not gonna like just value results based on the place or the time, but also like on the work they took, and also like like how involved your team was, and like how proud your family and your friends and everyone around you is gonna be, which they are always proud, by the way, because like that's one of the things I learned this year. Is like doesn't matter what you come in the race, like they're always gonna be proud and they're always gonna be there to like pat your back and say good job, and make you celebrate anything. So yeah, I think like that's a good start.
Where do you personally draw confidence from? I know you spoke a little bit about the preparation and how you draw confidence from that, but more generally, where does Mario Garcia Romo get his confidence, get his swagger from?
I would say that's exactly where I get my confidence from. I get my confidence from routine and like doing work and like knowing that I've done everything I could, and like that's something that me and Nathan have talked a lot this year. He's realized that I'm that type of guy who like doesn't do things because I think that I have to do them. I do things because I like to do them. Like when I go to the PT, I get a massage, or like, I do all those little exercises to warm up, or I show up a little earlier to warm up, or like, like all those little things, or like I look what I eat. Like it's because I like it, like it's something that I just enjoy, and it might seem like too much from the outside even, but if you enjoy it, like that's something that's gonna bring you happiness, and yeah, I mean, I just get my confidence from that, like knowing that I did everything I could, and like that work is gonna show up eventually. It can show up today, tomorrow, in 2 months, 4 years. Like you never know. But I think at a point or another, it's gonna show up in track and field or in any other aspect of your life. Yeah.
You make your first Olympic team, but you have this goal of winning gold, right? You said it
Yeah.
last year. What were those mixed emotions like where you didn't make the final, so you didn't even have the chance to run for gold, but also at the same time, making the Olympics is such a freaking accomplishment. Like if you look at it
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things, like no one makes the Olympics. You're like one of one. How did you balance those emotions of making this lifelong dream come true while also falling short of one of your goals?
Oh man, that was the hardest thing this summer, because yeah, I mean the Olympics, just saying it, like if like like it makes you like proud, and it makes you like kind of like feel something in the stomach and no any other race can give you. So yeah, I mean going to the Olympics for the first time, especially after missing the team by so little in 2021, like it just gave me so much like fulfillment, and like yeah, like you see like family back home, or like friends, or like people all around the world. The first thing they ask you when they meet you is like, "Oh, did you go to the Olympics?" And then now saying, "Yes, I went to Olympics," and they are always interested in like little things like, "Oh, how was the village? How was like racing in the stadium?" All those things, and like being able to tell them, like I feel like so happy that I can share that with them. And like obviously like my goal was winning gold, and like the emotions during that week at the Olympics were like very up and down, up and down, because like the first race, right, like I didn't make it through, and then I was like, okay, I have to represent tomorrow, but then also my mood was a little down, because I knew that there was something wrong, that something wasn't clicking, because I was always hoping that the next race I was gonna click, especially with the training I was doing. I was training with Jared all the month of July, and I thought I was ready. But yeah, like it didn't do it. And then after the Repechet, it was especially like a very sad moment, because also Oli was in the Repechet and he didn't make it through. So for us, it was just like, yeah, like working 2 years for for that goal of being in the Olympic final, and like not being able to qualify. It was like very hard to balance, but luckily I had my brother Dathan and our strength coach Jason just there at the track, and like we all gave each other a hug, and like like we kind of like went for it, and then just cooled down, and like came back to the hotel, and kind of like life just kept rolling, and then I spent a little bit of time by myself in that warm-up track, just like serving the stadium, like trying to take it all in, because at the end of the day it's the Olympics, and you never know if that's going to be the last one, like something can go wrong that next Olympic year. So I was just trying to enjoy that moment, and, like kind of like get the frustration behind and enjoying being there. And then the next days I kept training, but I also wanted to be there for Jared, since, we've trained together for the last 2 years, and I warm up with him for the semifinal and for the final. And that was also special, because it just felt like I was also like helping him in a way, and it was he didn't ask me to do it, I chose to do it, but I think like he also enjoyed it, especially the final day where I felt he was a little more nervous, and it was also a cool experience for me, because I didn't get to race, but at least I got to like do everything else, I got to warm up, and I just kind of like walk with him to the warm up to the cold room, and yeah, it was a very special thing, and yeah, and then him winning the medal, like obviously it was a lot of happiness, but also at the same time, like I watched the final from the stands, and that's not something I wanted to do. So yeah, it was a lot of mixed emotions, but I tried to manage them as well as I could, and especially like so like how grateful I was to Dathan and to everybody on, and just the Spanish Federation that took great care of me, and everybody that came to Paris to watch me.
How do you deal with and bounce back from disappointment, whether it's the Olympics this year or, a race way back in the day growing up?
Well, I think taking a step back and looking at it from a perspective, with a different perspective, like, for example, after Repichet, I remember like I was looking at the screen, and obviously I know I didn't make it, but I ripped off the numbers from my speed suit. And the Austrian athlete, who's a Austrian athlete that has been racing for many years, he made the final at Europeans, looked at me and like kind of like told me to like, he's like, hey, it's okay, you know, and like he's like 30 something. So I was like, you know, at that point, you know, I walk on the tunnel in the stadium, and I wanted to cry, to be honest with you, you know, especially when I saw the first person that I knew. And then I kind of like stopped for myself, and I was like, Mario, just like, what are you doing? You know, like you just accomplished a goal that like you have had for like so many years, you know, like for like 18 years now, like since I started running. And I told myself, like, I'm not gonna like just sit down and like be sad about it. I'm gonna enjoy it, you know, and I'm gonna like enjoy that I just raced in front of 80,000 people in France, and that all my town was watching from home. Like all the 200 people in my town were watching in a big screen at home, you know, and like that's something that I'm gonna take with me always. So I just remind myself of that, and you know, like taking a step back and just looking at it with perspective, like helped me a lot. And yeah, I mean, I ended up having a great time in Paris. Obviously, didn't get the result I wanted, but I think like it's something that is gonna build me up as a person, and as an athlete. Yeah.
You mentioned warming up with Yard for both the semifinal and the final. Curious, the day of warming up for the final, what's that like? Biggest race of his life, biggest stage of his life? Are you guys talking during that warm up? Are you not talking? If you're talking, is it about strategy? Is it joking around? Is it talking about Tyro back home in Boulder? What were those conversations like?
Well, it was funny because I felt it was different, you know. Obviously, it's the Olympic final day, so that's, I mean, it's the biggest day of the sport, right? And we started running, and I remember like he was in, like I didn't know what to talk about, you know, because at the end of the day, like I knew that I was there to like kind of like, you know, like just be with him, you know, and just like help him in like, you know, like spending those last few moments before the final and trying to be calm, you know. And then he started talking, and that's something that Jared doesn't do very often, like talking while running. Like usually like you have to like get him to like to talk a little bit. And like I realized he was talking, and you know, I just we talk about like, especially I think at first we talk about race tactics a little bit, you know, and I told him, I was like, look, I think the race is gonna be fast. I think you have to go with it for it, and like you have to like not be like not be scared of it. And I think you're ready for a fast race, and to run 3:27, or you know, whatever time you're gonna run that day. And yeah, after that, like we just talk about, you know, random things, you know, especially would be like kind of like cracking jokes, or like especially, you know, like people are warming up around the track, so I would be like, oh, like look, this guy looks nervous, or like, oh, like this person looks nervous, you know, so like things like that, you know, trying to like just smooth the mood a little bit, and you know, trying to like kill the nerves. Yeah, he felt like he was a little more nervous than often, but yeah, I mean, Jared doesn't usually get too nervous, so I think he was in a good mindset for the race.
I'm guessing, I'm not sure if you were around Dathan during the race specifically, but I'm sure you were around him in the days leading up to it, probably in a way in which you wouldn't have seen if you were competing. What
Yeah.
was it? If so, was it interesting seeing how he handles the pressure and nerves, the biggest stage of his life at the Olympics, seeing his athlete Yard medal? But did you get to see any behind the scenes of Dathan's nerves or any of that?
Oh yeah, I was with him in the stands. I was actually not gonna watch the race from the stands because I didn't want to do that to myself. I kind of wanted to like watch it from the screen in the warm up track, and then literally Dathan, Jason, Jordan, and my brother were like, "No, you're coming to the stands with us." And like I went to the stands with him, with them, and like we were sitting like next to each other. And yeah, obviously like he was super nervous during the race, but at the same time he was calm. You know, like I feel like he's been in many of these type of races, and in those huge stages as an athlete and as a coach. So yeah, I mean, the moment like Jared crossed the line, at first we didn't really know what position he was in because we couldn't really see. We were kind of in the start of the 100. Uh, but then like when his name popped up in the screen, like obviously like everybody was ecstatic and like just like jumping up and down, like hugging each other, you know. So yeah, I mean, it was super special because also like, you know, you get to see that how much he loves, you know, for us to accomplish the goals that we have. And you know, it's kind of like if we were his sons, you know, or his daughters, you know. and like he wants to see us accomplish those goals and celebrate with us when we do, and obviously being there with us when we don't, and I think that's what makes him a great coach. And yeah, I mean, it was a good decision to watch the final from the stands, I would say.
You posted on social media on August 9th, you said, quote, "Unfortunately, this season has come to an end for me sooner than we hoped. Yesterday, an MRI confirmed that some discomfort I've been feeling the last few months was indeed an injury that is going to require some time off running to heal before heading into the 2025 season." Take me through that injury and what that realization was like of having that injury, getting the MRI. Did it make the Olympics feel any better or no?
Yeah, slightly better, I would say, because obviously, it explains a little more my season, especially considering when I started feeling something, which I can explain, especially for the people listening, just in case that they're going through something similar to me. I have a OP injury, obviously, like it's something that has been very common in the last few years among professional athletes, I think. And I started feeling like a little bit of discomfort on like my, the front of my abdomen, kind of like around April, I would say. But it wasn't a huge discomfort. Like I could still run, I could still sprint, I could do everything, So I didn't really raise the alarm other than just, like kind of getting checked, doing some tests. And I did all the tests possible that we had. And we spoke to professionals. I spoke to PTs, massage therapists, I got treatment and like everything seemed fine, and I just kept running. Like I was able to run like 90 miles and like doing all the sessions that we wanted to do. I ran Prefontaine, I ran the 800s, and everything felt amazing, but I still felt like I was missing something. I was missing some kick or something, like changing gears that obviously the years prior I was able to use. And obviously I just always had the hope that maybe the next race would come, and this is a training thing, and we kept progressing with our training. We kept doing everything we could. And then race after race, like I was just having the hope that the next race would be, the one that would perform well, because at the end of the day in training, like I was running even paces and I was able to like run fast stuff, slow stuff, long stuff, like without any problem. Obviously I still felt a little bit of discomfort, but also being the Olympic year, I didn't really want to like, stop for like a long time and then missing the opportunity to go to the Olympics, which at the end of the day you have to qualify in June. And yeah, I mean, I kept racing, and the sessions were really good, especially in July. I was able to train with Jared, and we did all the last specific sessions together and everything together. So my confidence was up coming into the Olympics, and I thought that I was ready to perform very well. But obviously, like when your body is not ready, and if there is something going on, yeah, like it's not gonna work as well as you hoped, and especially when everybody's so fit and so ready to race at the highest level. So yeah, I mean, I think that maybe my injury hindered my opportunity to perform at the level I wanted to at the Olympics. But then the day after the final, I got an MRI because like being like still August and considering the Worlds next year is not until September, I wanted to make sure that I was taking care of myself and like being like sure that I was like fixing any problems that I had. And yeah, I mean, I got an MRI in the Olympic Village, and the radiologist there told me, yeah, like you have an OP injury, and like then the Spanish doctors looked at it, like very good professionals, like doctors that work with like Football Club Barcelona and people like that, and they were like so surprised that I was able to run. They were like, wow. Like this is incredible. Like they were like, we don't understand how you're able to run right now, like how you're not in such high pain, I was like, yeah, like, I mean, I've been able to like do everything, if not, I would have said something. But yeah, I mean, since then, like, then they were like, well, we make sure that you're taken care of. And we talked to Dathan, we talked to like all the, like the professionals that surround us in the team. And yeah, we decided to like stop the season, especially just to take care of my body and being able to have enough time to build up for Worlds next year. And yeah, it was a good decision, I think. And now we are starting the second phase of the recovery process, and hopefully I'll be running on the boost tomorrow or the day after. So that's good news. And yeah, I mean, very excited to come back to running. I've been enjoying my time off, which is my longest breaks since the pandemic. So yeah, hopefully all that work that I did all these last months, like will get absorbed, and I'll be able to like perform in 2025 as I hope. And yeah, I mean, it was a good break though. Like I really needed it to spend time with like the people I love and just traveling a little bit, doing things that I cannot do during the season. And yeah, it was obviously bad news that I have an injury, but at the same time, good news in the sense of like being able to spend more time with my family and doing things that maybe I'm not able to do during the rest of the year.
We talked about this last conversation. I brought it up this conversation, becoming the type of person, that's deserving of that gold medal. For you, what does that look like? It's funny for pros. It's like the fall is kind of cross country season. It's kind of like what summer is to NCAA athletes, like building that base, that foundation, mileage, tempo workouts, all of that. What do these next few months look like for you after, returning to running and becoming fully healthy? What are some things you're looking to accomplish as, you start to run some of those easy long miles again?
Yeah, well, hopefully, like my return to running is smooth and we don't have any issues. I think that's the most important thing. I don't want to be on a rush, and I think I want to be super patient, and Dathan and the team around me wants to be patient too, and make sure that I get healthy first of all, and yeah, I mean, hopefully I'll be running more, like sooner rather than later. But yeah, I don't have like any particular goals. I would say for the winter, I think like just training and like becoming stronger and becoming aerobically stronger. I think that Dathan always does a good job planning the fall and the winter, and I always trust his opinion and his guidance. So yeah, I will leave that up to him, and I will focus on the things I can focus, on like taking care of myself, making sure that I communicate well with him about like any issues that I have, or like like about any feedback that I have on training, and about taking care of everything else in my life. And then yeah, hopefully we can be training again like fully soon, especially because I miss the team and I miss being around the team. And yeah, hopefully I don't want to set myself a deadline, but I would like to, maybe run something indoors. I don't know if that's going to be possible, since, I want to be patient. But yeah, I think maybe if that's not the case, maybe something in the early spring, like a 5K, even though I had a bad experience with the 5K last year. Something like that would be fun to do. But yeah, I think these next few months especially are going to be about, spending like good quality time with myself and with the people I love, and just trying to like be, a very happy person, and just trying to like do the things that I love, and getting healthier and getting fitter.
And
At
learning
the end of the
Piano
day,
Man
that's
on
that's
the
all that
piano.
matters. I'm learning the piano. Yeah.
The last
I gotta
four.
say,
Oh,
I
go
was
ahead.
gonna say, I was gonna say, I'm not only gonna play the piano. I'm gonna play the harmonica while I play the piano. So
Ooh.
yeah.
Was that
So
a part of the bet?
I added that to the bed. I
Okay.
wanted to make it more interesting.
That's a ballsy move right there, Mario. That is
Yeah,
a
I know,
ballsy
I know.
move. Dude, if you
Hey,
can
go
pull that
big
off,
or
yeah, go big or go home. If you can pull that off,
yeah,
man, I'm excited. But is that because it's like a part of the song, Piano Man?
yeah. Because if you
Okay.
play the song on
Yeah,
Spotify,
yeah,
it literally plays harmonica. And
yeah.
also, we like just on another like a funny story. Like we played trivia in Summer 8 when the team was there, and my team won trivia, and the gift was a harmonica. So I was playing the
No way.
harmonica like all the way home, and like people were hating me because I play so bad, and they were like hating me, but I just kept doing it. So yeah.
So funny. So funny. Okay, so the last four global championships, if I'm not mistaken, including the Olympics here, have had four different 1500-meter winners. Last Olympics, Jakob, World Championships in Eugene, Jake Whiteman, World Championships in Budapest, Josh Kerr, and this past Olympics, Cole Hawker. What's your take as someone? I'm sure you're gonna say someone else, and that someone else is gonna be you next year. But what's your take on 2025? We think 5 in 5 years, or we thinking repeating at this point?
Well, I would say there is a big four, right? Like in tennis, the last 20 years there was a big four, right? And obviously it's Cole, Josh, Jared, and Jacob. And yeah, I mean, like just with things like new things like Grand Slam, obviously, we don't know who the fourth like runner in the 1500, 800 double is gonna be, but yeah, I mean, I think maybe it could be Jacob, and like the four of them will be running, and then there'll be challengers, right? So yeah, I mean, I would like to say myself for 2025, and I think like I want to see myself being that person. And I think what we saw this year, is like there's very different people with different training, like all running amazing, and they all can win. That's the magic of the 1500. So I think that I think more people are going to show up. I think Hobbs, obviously, like being fifth at the Olympics was amazing, and I think now he's a 329 guy and 143 speed, and I think he's going to be a great like athlete that is going to be fighting for the gold for sure. And then people like Niels Laros, obviously. So I think the most important part is the 1500 has so many people, and I think that it's gonna be a bloodbath. I would say, kind of like we can see anybody win. Obviously, Cole looked amazing in the Olympic final, and like he ran an Olympic record. He ran 327. Kicking from a hard pace. So that's gonna be very hard to beat. But like now he's the Olympic champion. He's gonna have to defend his cards, and he's not gonna be kind of like the dark horse in the pack. He's gonna be expected to win gold, and those are all things that kind of people have to take into account, and they like the pressure being the Olympic champion or things like that. But I mean, he was amazing this year, and he deserved to win that gold. I think he was the best in the field by far that day, and yeah, I mean, it was very exciting to watch, and hopefully I won't be watching from the stands anymore next year, and I'll be actually the person crossing the line first. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. For you, I always like getting people's opinion. I think I got Yard's opinion on this when I had him on before the Olympics. Jakob, do you think he should stay in the 15 or move up? And what's your general take
definitely.
on just like...
I mean, people are too quick, like giving up on him in the 1500. Like, yeah, I mean, he wasn't able to win gold in the last four World or Olympic finals, right? But at the same time, like, or like three, yeah, I guess three, yeah. But at the same time, he's won almost every 1500 he's raced in the last few years, And, I think he's going to stay in the 1500, obviously. I think he's going to run the 5K more. And, like maybe he tries the 10K or like longer distances, but obviously he has a lot of energy left in the 1500. And I think maybe he changes his tactic. That's the only thing that's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, he can always get fitter as well and run faster, Like he ran a 328 from the front, and that day there was three guys that ran 327, but you never know, like, if people are going to be ready to run that pace, and maybe he can solo a 327 or 326. Like, he's the only guy who's been able to run 326. So yeah, I think he's going to stay in the 1500. I think it's going to be tough to beat in the 1500, and I think, like, hopefully we can all catch up to him, because I think he's still a step ahead of us, and he's just a better runner in like the longer distances. Obviously, he's the best 5K runner probably like ever. I mean, I know he doesn't have the 5K record, but I think he will destroy
He'd get it.
Yeah.
He's never really gone after it. I mean, 719 in the 3K. He looked too good.
No, 717. Yeah.
717. Yeah. I mean, like,
yeah,
he looked too good running that.
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I think he's gonna stay, and he's gonna be tough to beat, but obviously, like, that's the goal, and that's what we will work for. So yeah.
Are you a fan of the fall training or not really? Like, what's your take on the long miles, the hills, the little bit of snow that Boulder gets? How do you like it all?
Oh yeah, I love it. That's like, I would say, I don't know if my favorite part of the year. That's tough to say, but I love the long runs, especially. Like, coming into Ole Miss, I didn't really like long runs, and Ben Hoy made me love them, and now, like, that's one of the things I look the most forward to, and especially I like long runs that are like uphill, like, I kind of like the elevation gain is kind of like crazy, and sometimes in the fall we do this long run up what's the canyon, Leffing Canyon, I think it's called, in Boulder. And obviously this year, I don't know how that's going to look like for me, because I'm going to be returning to running, and my teammates are going to be probably pretty fit for me to run with them. So yeah, I'm going to miss that, and hopefully, we can get one before the snow comes, because the problem is in Colorado, the snow comes pretty early, so the canyon is like unrunnable, like you cannot run on it. And yeah, I really like the fall training, especially because there is no races, so you're just enjoying running and like staying at home, obviously, because we don't get to spend a lot of time at home in Boulder, and yeah, just playing board games, and doing fall things or Christmas things.
Going back in time to those Ole Miss days, reflecting a little bit, what do you miss about those cross-country days on the grass, NCAA years, in the Ole Miss uniform, probably Everett chasing you around with a camera, boys, camaraderie's high? What do you miss about those days?
I just miss, like, being at the meets with my teammates, like that's if you ask any of my teammates, like they would say the same thing. I would say, like being on the sleeper bus or like being on the bus, just like playing stupid games or like making jokes and like like talking about anything, like that's what I miss, or being, I remember like I didn't really play Minecraft, but like a lot of people would play Minecraft, and just being around them, like like talking and stuff like that, that'd be super fun. So yeah, I just miss that, and I miss being with them. Like it's been a long time since we all have been together, and like now some of them are getting married, some of them are like setting up their lives, and it's kind of like we are getting older. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we can be all back together soon at a football game, experience maybe the Ole Miss football game, tailgate and things like that, but yeah, we haven't been together for a long time, especially me, since I've been training in the fall. But yeah, I really just miss being around them. Yeah.
Mario, I know in our few conversations with each other, you really stress and emphasize the point of giving back to the sport, wanting to be that person that people can reach out to, and you'll always be there to support them. For you, what do you want people who have listened to our conversation to take away from the 2024 season of Mario Garcia Romo?
I would say no, don't focus on results. Like that's something that I've learned heavily this year. I think, like last year I was like, oh, like I want to win gold, and I want to be the person that deserves to win gold. But then at the end of the day, like it's not about only the color of the medal or like the time that you run or the place, it's about like actually building yourself up to be the person and the athlete you want to be. And that's the biggest medal you can win. And like trying to focus on that, I know it's a hard thing because obviously our society is going to put a lot of, like price into the medals and like, a lot of attention into it. But at the end of the day, like the biggest takeaway for me is like, the people that you love is going to be there for you no matter what. And especially they're going to celebrate you no matter what the result is. And, they're going to celebrate anything, like not only going to the Olympics, but, like getting your college graduate degree or like, like going to conference meet or like going to NCAAs, anything at any level. And, like that's very important. And also I've learned that I have to celebrate the little things, I was a person that after a bad race, kind of like I move on and like and just keep training, and like I do that still, but at the same time, sometimes I take a little bit of time to celebrate, like running 350 in the mile at Prefontaine or like making the Olympic team, even though I came third at the trials and I wanted to win, or like running at the Olympics even though I didn't go through the rounds, things like that. I think are really important to celebrate, and I think they give you a lot of happiness and value to the things that you do, and that's a really motivation for the years to come, and also yeah, it just keeps you going. Yeah.
So good. When's the book coming out?
Oh, I don't know, man. I would
Wisdom
like
from
to.
Mario and piano lessons.
Yeah, a book about piano, right? Yeah, basic skills in piano. No, I mean that's something. Writing is something that I love and something that I do often, or I try to do often. And I like to journal. I haven't been journaling as much this summer because I've been going all over the place, and the last 2 weeks I've been just doing so much stuff, like on holiday, that I just couldn't like have a moment to like do it. But I'm good friends with Scott Cacciola from the New York Times, and like he's given me some advice. And obviously, he's a great writer, and yeah, I just want to like keep writing for myself, and hopefully one day I'll be important enough to maybe publish something
Oh, you're
that
important
is
enough.
of use for somebody. I think like when you publish something to the people out there, it has to give them some value. I don't want to rant about my life. I don't think it's so interesting for people to want to listen to it, or like, well, not to listen to, or just to like pay attention to it as much, but or read a book, because at the end of the day, that's that takes a lot of effort. But yeah, I mean, I would like to do it one day, and obviously, being in podcast, I think is super super good for me, and I think I'm improving my English a lot. Sorry if you guys couldn't understand me as much. I've been in
Dude,
Spain
your
for a
English
few
is
weeks.
crushing.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Because
Wait, let me
being in
ask you that.
Spain,
Is it weird? Is this the first
yes.
English you've spoken all day?
Yes, all day, yes, for
Really?
sure. Yeah. Yeah, and obviously that's something challenging and something that like Ellie says it all the time, like my English gets worse when I go home. Like that's something I try to avoid. Yeah, I mean, I think like any kind of content, any, like books, like podcasts, anything like that, I think is so good for people to listen to, or like just to like read or like pay attention to it, because it gives you like, like a different perspective from yours. And yeah, I mean, it's something that I like to do and something that I like to listen to. And yeah, I've been listening to your episodes. They've been amazing. So
Really?
congrats on that. Yeah, of
Oh, I
course.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big supporter of any running podcast. I think like you guys do an amazing job of, divulgating about the running community and like about telling like our stories, and I think that's very important, and we really value that. So yeah, thank you so much for like, always having me. And I think, like it's always a pleasure, and you always ask the good questions, and let us, like talk truly. And you make us very comfortable, especially talking about like the things that are the most difficult to talk about. Yeah.
Thank you, man. Wow. Very, very kind. I really appreciate it. That means a ton. Final question for you. I would say ending on a lighter note, but we've been having fun. So just ending on a
Yeah.
note. Flying home soon. It's a long
Yeah.
way from Barcelona to Boulder. What are the
Yeah.
go-to essentials on a flight for Mario Garcia Romo to get through
Go
it
to
and enjoy it?
essentials. Well, for me, I have my book, which I'm running, The 4 Minute Mile by Roger Bannister. It's a book that a Spanish journalist gave me, and I'm reading right now. I would say an iPad, because I download movies and shows, and I like to watch movies a lot. And obviously, I would say a sleep mask. Like I always wear like an eye mask to sleep, and like a comfy pillow, which I have like a travel pillow that you can fold and roll, and I use that pillow to sleep like normally as well. And yeah, just some comfortable socks that you can you can wear on the plane. Hopefully your feet don't smell that much and people don't complain. But yeah, and some snacks obviously.
Mario, really appreciate you taking time out of your day to come on the podcast late into the night. Go get your sleep. Always appreciate these conversations. This is the third podcast we've done, as I mentioned, and every single one has been one of my favorite episodes in that time period. You always bring such wisdom and depth to our conversations, and I love all my guests, but I think you specifically, anytime I have you on, I know that whoever listens is going to be impacted because of your rawness and your realness around the subjects relating to your training and life. So I greatly appreciate you taking the time to chop it up yet again. And man, excited to see you crush it in 2025 and beyond. 2025 is the year of Mario. Book it now. Buy Mario stock.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you. I mean, yeah, it felt like a late night talk, and those are always the best. And yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure, like I said earlier. Yeah, hopefully 2025 I can get back on this podcast and speak
Oh,
with
you're
you
welcome
again,
back anytime. Whether you retire from the sport, never run a step again, or win gold and run 325, you're always welcome back on.
Yeah, and well, hopefully I have a lot more, stories to tell and like perspective to give and ideas to give and share with the world. And yeah, just to anybody out there that is listening to this, like, yeah, thank you for listening. And like I always say, like I'm available to reach on Instagram if you're going through anything and you want like to talk to anybody. Like I'm that person if you want me to be. And yeah, it's always a pleasure, like having this platform and like talking to the people out there.
This guy's a gem. Mario, we need more Marios in the world. Two more things for you. One, next time we chat, Piano Man, you're going to be able to play it. And
I
two,
promise.
never done this on the podcast before. To close us out, because you've been speaking so much Spanish recently, can you say like, let's see, like farewell, the Running Effect podcast? Can you close us out that way?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Muchas gracias a los oyentes de Running Fair y espero que bueno, que a lo mejor saques una versión en español.